Hello, I'm Zane Simon, and welcome to People in Perspective. My guest today is Miss Patti Farlee, a culinary teacher here at RBHS. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. I was so excited to get the invitation.
Of course. Okay, well, let's get started then.
Good.
What was your inspiration becoming like a
teacher or a culinary arts teacher?
Culinary arts teacher.
Ever since I was a little girl, I always knew I wanted to teach, and so I feel very lucky that that's where my path went. But then I didn't know what I wanted to teach, right? There's so many choices. So when I was in high school, it was called home economics, and my home economics teacher said, Patty, I know you're going to look at colleges. What if you considered being a home ec teacher? And I said, oh, I really might think of that.
Right.
So then I started looking at colleges, and that's what I decided to do because there were so many options. I could teach consumer econ, I could teach,
Right.
yeah, I could teach child development, I could teach fashion, I could teach culinary arts.
Fashion?
Yeah, I did. I used to teach way back in the day. I used to teach sewing, and
Interesting.
There's more that I have the opportunity to teach, but those are just a few of them, and so it gave me so many choices that I thought that's what I like.
What college did you go to?
I went to Western Illinois University in Macomb, Illinois, Leathernecks.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. They don't even have the program anymore, but
Really?
yes.
Ah, well, at least you got that in.
Yeah, I did.
So tell me about like an average day, cooking,
in the classroom.
Cooking day,
Well, you've been in class, so
I have,
you're going to correct me if I'm wrong here. But prior to getting the kids, I'm very fortunate that there's 4 levels of food. So if we're talking about the average day in a Foods 1 class, that's going to be very different than in an Honors Advanced Foods class, right?
That's true.
So regardless of your level, though, we always do a lot of pre-work, right, on what the routine is in the kitchen, and how you have to have your hair up and your apron on, and
all that.
So all those routines really help build into the average day and the mise en place. And then sometimes I demonstrate the recipe, sometimes the students will be
Yeah, I liked when you demonstrated.
You did?
Show it. Yeah.
And did you like when I did it at the front of the room or when I went back into the kitchens and called you over?
Honestly, I think when you would call everyone over would be like, it gave everyone sort of that interaction.
And it just seemed closer and more doable, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so I've switched to more of that type of teaching.
That's good.
Where I pull people over and then, because everything looks easy when you see someone else do it, but until you go to do it, right?
Exactly.
So anyway, so prior to the recipe or the recipe, reading the recipe still seems to be the biggest challenge, right? Everybody misses a step or something. And then the kids have to implement doing the recipe, and they have to cover it, label it. Rarely do we get to eat everything on that first day, right? There's the mise en place, getting everything in its place, then there's the preparation, and then oftentimes there's the eating the next day.
Usually that's like the last step is eating it.
Yeah, and we enjoy that. We just finished stir fry. Do you remember when we did the
I remember that.
And we did all the knife cuts, and then finally we made the stir fry and ate it.
I remember I sort of insulted it.
Did you?
Yeah. You were there. You were standing right there, and I felt really bad because I was like, "Oh, this isn't that great." And you were like, "Okay, well, tell me what I could do to make it better."
There you go. And that's what you do when you look at a recipe, right?
That's
figure out how to change it.
So yeah, what were like the difficulties when you were like, because there's obviously going to be mess ups. So like, what?
Oh, there's always mess ups. I think the best thing that you need to know is that you're learning, right? And I always use the sports analogy that when you first learned how to hold your baseball bat or your golf club, hardly anybody hit a home run the first time they ever had. So you just have to know, and you have to evaluate, which the kids sometimes get frustrated with me, but we always have to look at what did we do and what can we get better. So sometimes things just don't work out, and it's what you learn from that that's going to make all the difference.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
So like, moving on about that, what are some like disasters that have happened in the kitchen? Like,
well, luckily there hasn't been too many because of that pre-preparation. We have yet, knock on wood.
Luckily.
Yes, we have yet to have a fire, in the kitchen, which seems to be a common one.
Right.
Sadly, during one of our knife cuts, one of the students was trying to help. pick up the knife and return it, and he did impale himself on the knife. Yes,
What?
That's my big one after all these years.
He stabbed himself.
He did. He did.
How badly?
He had to spend the night in the hospital because we were cutting up the chicken, so the raw chicken.
Oh no!
It all worked out though, and he wasn't. You know, it was some stitches.
He was okay,
and
right?
He was fine. He was really fine, and everybody was calm. You just know that you have to. Well, no, they were. It was everybody was very calm because they know that if they hurt themselves, you have to let me know.
Right.
And he was so nice. He's like, Miss Farlee, I just cut myself.
Just have this big knife.
Well, you're so funny. It wasn't like that, but
yeah. I just stabbed myself, but it'll be okay.
He didn't use that word. He just said cut himself.
Okay.
And it all worked out. So yeah.
What would you say like your favorite recipes were?
Oh my gosh, well, if I'm cooking for myself, my favorite recipe is always the recipe I haven't done yet.
Of course.
Because I love to try new things. But as far as the favorite recipes, you know, I teach baking and pastry, plus I teach foods too, which is more of an international cuisine.
Yeah.
And the kids get to pick the different countries and different recipes, and then Foods One. I have to say, I love making bread. So when we get into the bread unit, I really do like to do bread.
That was pretty fun, honestly. I think that was really fun.
Yeah.
So you're retiring this.
I am. This is my last year.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. But
you've been working here for how long?
I've been here for 16 years. I've actually been teaching for 33 years.
That's quite a while.
It is a long time. But I'm very grateful. This is always what I've wanted to do. I just have loved being with the students.
I'm glad you got to do something you loved for so long.
That's how I feel, because in working with teenagers, so many times people don't know what they want to do. But I always knew I wanted to teach. So
You've got like that guidance.
Yeah, I really did. And I've not changed, that path since. And I feel very fortunate.
Exactly. It's good to know that you've got something that you like to work in. The food.
Yes. Yeah. It's very satisfying.
Right.
I'm very grateful.
So what's your favorite cooking show?
Oh gosh, well,
some of those
when you ask about inspiration, I was not watching Julia Child when I was little. I think she was on before I was born, but I love Julia Child, so to watch some of those old French chefs. I think any of the cooking shows are fun to watch, so I'm always looking for new ones. I really do love that salt, acid, fat. There's the 4. Why am I forgetting the 4th? But I think there's always something to learn on the food shows, even the grocery cart one when they have to go down the grocery store.
Yeah,
because I think it's so great that you're exposed to all these different ingredients, and then that there's that creative mind that people can put things together like that.
Exactly.
I'm a recipe follower the first time, and then after I've made it, I'm willing to do some different things.
But the way that they do it on spot, it's very
impressive, isn't it?
It takes some skill.
I think without a doubt. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what are your plans for the future? You're retiring, so.
Oh, I am retired, so I want to travel. I love to travel. That's one of my favorite things. Yes, there's some cooking classes in Italy I'd like to take.
Italy?
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully I'll be going to Spain in
in
the fall when you guys are all coming back to school. I figured that would be a good time for me to go travel on the times that not everyone else is, right? I now don't have to be stuck to summer vacation, spring break, Christmas.
You get to just go whenever you want.
Yeah.
You could decide that you want to go, I don't know, Hawaii tomorrow.
Exactly correct. So I think that'll be really nice. And I know I'll do something else because I do love being with students and people. So I'm sure there'll be a next chapter, but I know I want to travel at first.
Next chapter. So you might do something more with
cooking. Well, think of all the different, there's William and Sonoma, there's Chopping Block, there's all different types of culinary stores that I could still insert myself in. There's some programs, I live in Chicago, so there's some programs I just have been reading about that work with high school students, but not in a high school setting.
That's interesting.
So,
something
like that, I think.
Thank you. Thank you for, being here today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for watching. This was People in Perspective. I'm Zane Simon. That's it.
Okay, thanks.